Hello guys and welcome back to DarkHorse FM, and in today's video we're going to be testing out a 4.5 XG tactic created for FM 2022. This tactic was tested with Manchester City and recently uploaded to the FM Scout network. So with Man City they were able to get 4.5 goals per game in the Premier League, but we're opting to test this tactic out with other teams. I did look at PSG as a prospect to actually test out this tactic because they do have the kind of players that can score a lot of goals in a league seasons. But as I went to the League All division, and then I realized that Olympique Lyonnais were just staring at me in the face and they were like, use us, test us, let's do the work for you. And then I opted, I gave into the temptation and then I picked Olympique Lyonnais instead. We're going to look at the other teams that we actually opted to test this tactic out, and then we're going to see how everything turns out when we go through the tactic. As usual, we're going to go through the tactic in detail. We'll look at the player instructions that are set up, and we're also going to look at the team instruction and the way the tactic relates and the way the players interact with each other in this tactic and how they're going to be able to test out those features. So we're going to look at all the teams that are expected to test out the tactic also, and able to see how well they do with this version of the tactic. So the first team, like we saw before, the first team we're going to be looking at is Olympique Lyonnais. They are in the French League on Uber Eats, and they are predicted to finish second. So they are the other team that are expected to win the league besides Paris Saint-Germain. That is PSG magically somehow to end up winning the league. Olympique Lyonnais are the likely team that are going to win the league. So we're going to see how many goals they are supposed to score using this tactic. For the second team that I selected is SV Waldhof Mannheim 07. The reason why I picked this team is because they are somewhat a lower league side. So the reason why I'm also picking them is because it's to try and test out the tactic using a team that, let's say, have low abilities, so to see if the tactic can actually work in all levels or with all teams. So Waldorf Mannheim are predicted to finish 13th in the German Bundesliga. That's the 3 Bundesliga, so that's where their division is, and they are predicted to finish 13th in that league. So that's why they're actually in the test to try and represent the lower league sides. The third team on this list is Victoria Pilsen. They are in the Czech Republic division and they are predicted to finish second. And if you notice, a lot like Olympique Lyonnais, I picked a team that were better than most of the other teams but are not the best team in the division or are not predicted to finish first in the league. The purpose of that is to try and see how many goals they can score using this tactic. And the last team on our list is also a team that's predicted to finish second, but this time in Turkey. That's Fenerbahce AS. They are in the Turkish Super League and they're predicted to finish second as well. I think Galatasaray is predicted to finish first, but I'm using Fenerbahce to try and test out this tactic again to see how many goals they can rack up in a particular season. So for the tactic, like we mentioned, is a flat 4-3-3. Oh no, I'm so sorry, not a flat 4-3-3. For the tactic is a 4-3-3 narrow with 2 false 9 and 1 advanced forward. The complete wing backs are the fullbacks on this particular tactic. They are operating out there. The players are expected to operate in the wide flank and be the one to offer the width for the side. There are 2 ball playing defenders in the tactic, and then there's a sweeper keeper on attack duty as well. So I'm expecting that the team is going to have a very high defensive line. And in the central midfield, there are a trinity of a defensive midfielder on support, a central midfielder on attack duty, and a mezzala on attack duty as well. So the sweeper keeper has one instruction, which is the tackle harder instruction, and then the complete wing back on attack duty has been asked to take more risks and tackle harder. Just to be sure, yes, both complete wing backs actually have identical instructions: take more risks and tackle harder. Now in central defense, there's a ball playing defender, in fact 2 ball playing defenders in central defense, and they have stay wider and tackle harder. So as the complete wing backs are getting further forward and trying to be the one offering the width in the side, the ball playing defenders are going to spread themselves and then form a sort of back 3 with the defensive midfielder that's also on support duty. They've been asked to stay wider and tackle harder. Both ball playing defenders also have identical instructions. The defensive midfielder on support duty has been asked to pass it shorter, shoot less often, close down more, tackle harder, and mark tighter. I also expected it to be on defend duty because there are 3 here, and then the 2 complete wing backs are obviously getting high up in the field. But regardless, that's the way the tactic is set up, so I'm just going to leave everything as it is. The mezzala on attack duty then has been asked to pass it shorter, dribble a lot more, shoot less often, tackle harder, and then mark tighter. And then the central midfielder, I don't know why I keep saying complete. The central midfielder on attack duty in this sense has been asked to take more risks, dribble more, shoot less often, move into channel. So he's going to operate in that space left behind by the 2 false 9s. Move into channel, tackle harder, and then mark tighter as well. In the forward row, we have an advanced forward and 2 false 9. The false 9 on the right hand side has been asked to roam from position and then to move into channels as well. And on the left hand side, the false 9 also has identical instructions to the false 9 on the right, which is to roam from positions and then move into the channels. The first line is the one taking risks, so this is he has been asked to have a bit more creativity in him. The advanced forward, sorry, he has been asked to have a bit more creativity in his legs, and also to take more risks, tackle harder and mark tighter as well. So most of the players have been asked to tackle harder and mark tighter. That is going to be really extreme. So just looking at the way the tactic is set up. Looking at the tactic intensity, of course, this tactic is expected to blow away most of the opposition team. It's just expected to like blow them out of the park and then oppress them with high numbers up front, with complete wing backs also getting forward, the ball playing defenders being more creative as well, central midfielders on attack, Metala on attack, everybody's just attack, attack, attack. So looking at the team's mentality, then the team's mentality has been set to very attacking mentality. Looking at the team's in possession instruction, we're going to begin from the defense, so I think that's the way I normally prefer to do it. So when the team is out of possession, then they have been asked to play with a much higher line of engagement, which works well for the strikers up front, and then a higher defensive line. They've also been asked to trigger press much more often and then prevent the goalkeeper from distributing the ball short. They've also been asked to stay on their feet while tackling. Okay, this is really confusing. Stay on feet. It might just work, so stay on feet while tackling. So, but if something that you probably don't like, you can obviously take that one off. But then this is the way the tactic is set up by default. The team's width then has been asked to play. The team has been asked to play with a narrow defensive width, that's showing the opposition outside. Now in transition, the team has been asked to counter press and to counter. That tends to work well in FM22, of course. And then looking at the goalkeeper's instruction, the goalkeeper has been asked to distribute the ball to the centre back. So the centre backs are going to be the ones starting the play, and then I expect the team to actually play with with the play out of defense instruction if it's going to be included. Well, I'm just saying off the part that it has not been included, but the goalkeeper has been asked to distribute the ball to the centre backs, and then he's not doing it very quickly. So somehow the team is going to still be playing out of defense, even though the instruction has not been checked in this box here. The team's width is wide. That's based on the team's attacking or very attacking mentality. That's what actually forced the team's attacking width to go wide. And then in the final third, the team has been asked to play low crosses and then walk the ball into the box. The passing directness is slightly shorter. Again, that's also because of the team's mentality. If the mentality was different, it's probably going to be shorter passing. The team's tempo, then it's extremely high tempo, and the team has been asked to play with a bit more discipline. So there's some level of control to the tactic as well. So there's that very high energy and, you know, a bit more calm, nobody's doing anything stupid kind of tactic. So for some reason, I feel if you use the tactic on a positive or an attacking mentality, you may be able to have a bit more defensive cover if you use a slightly lower mentality. But using very attacking obviously means you're going to be trying to score goals all the time, which probably explains why the team scores that many goals. Now there are set pieces included in this tactic, and then we're just going to go through the set pieces as they're labeled in tactic, because I did notice that the tactic creator actually added set pieces. So looking at the corner routines, then this is the way it's set up on the right for defending corners, and then this is the way it's set up on the left hand side for defending corners as well. It's called the THL, I think, something like that. So in attack, he's using the Beowulf 4-4-2 corner routine, and then it's played to the center, and then there's a player marking the goalkeeper. So that's the way it's set up on the left hand side, and this is the way the tactics corner routine is set up on the right hand side. I think it's an identical mirror for the left and the right for the corners. And then the free kick setup, this is the way the defensive free kick is set up on the left hand side, and on the right hand side, this is the way that the defensive free kicks are set up for direct free kicks, by the way. For small chance of a shot, this is the way it's set up in defense, and this is the way it's set up on the right hand side. And then for the indirect free kick out wide, this is the way it's set up defensively, and then on the left hand side, pretty much the same, that's the way it's set up. And then indirect deep free kicks, this is the way it's set up, and then this is the way it looks on the right hand side as well. Going into the corners, the free kicks from the attacking point of view, this is the way the free kick is set up for direct free kicks using this tactic. And then on the left hand side, this is the way the free kick is set up on the left, so that they have a lot of players back trying to stop the counter attack. For small chance of a shot, this is the way the free kick is set up on the left hand side, and then this is the way it looks like on the right hand side. And then indirect free kicks, this is probably the best kind of free kicks to have if you can score from them. So this is the way the free kick is set up. You have central defenders going up to try and head the ball, and this is the way it's set up on the right hand side, and then you have the same free kick set up on the left hand side. For deep free kicks, this is the way the free kick setting is for the left hand side. Still, central defenders going up to go and head the ball, and then on the right, this is the way it's set up. We're going to check throwings now if there's anything special for throwings. This is the way the throwing is set up in defense on the left and on the right hand side, and then in attack, this is what we have for throwings. It's a short, quick throw, really. But then there are strikers. The 3 strikers are in the box, and the defenders are trying to, stop the counter attack in case any of them wants to erupt. And then that's the way it's set up on the right hand side. Same tactic. That's the way the set pieces are set up for this tactic. So we're going to get into the season. I'm going to let the assistant manager actually take control of the game, and I'm not going to attach any training routine for this tactic. You can use it as anyhow that you want. That's obviously, and I'm also not going to include players in their best positions as well. So everything's going to be taken care of by the AI. I do this because I want to see the tactic. I want to see how the tactic performs using the worst case scenario, right? So if you're not using a hands-on approach, if you're using a hands-on approach, you're probably going to get better results than the results I'm going to get here with this tactic. So that's basically how it operates. But I'm just going to allow the system manager to take everything. Injuries are all going to be available, so everything that could possibly go wrong in the tactic is going to go wrong, which is actually the way I prefer testing out tactics. So that's we've seen the teams are going to be testing out the tactic. We've seen the tactic in detail. We've seen the set pieces attached, so you can get the tactic in the link in the description down below. I'm going to attach a link to download the tactic in the description down below, so you can get it for yourself if you actually want to try it for yourself and score a lot more goals. So I'm going to go to the end of the season and see how the tactic works out. If it's possible that Leon can also manage to score 4.5 goals per game using this tactic. Okay, 31st of May, the season is over, and let's just see how well Olympique Lyonnais managed to do this tactic. And they did not win the league, but they did take second as predicted, and they lost 4 times to Paris Saint-Germain, Lille, Paris Saint-Germain again, and Strasbourg. So it's unique to see how this tactic works out. PSG had a goal difference of 72, and Olympique Lyonnais had 58, but let's see who had highest amount of goals. Wow, they scored 101 goals. That's a lot more than PSG did, because PSG scored 94 goals in the division. So that's how well the tactic worked out for Lyonnais. Most possession not in this tactic, because they took 6, so the tactic is not so focused on possession, but PSG did have a lot of possession, and then Olympique Lyonnais were only 6th with this tactic. Most points per game was by PSG, still with 2.61, and then Olympique Lyonnais had 2.29. But the interesting part is to actually check the amount of goals that Olympique Lyonnais managed to score. That's the XG, right? So looking at Data Hub, let's see how they managed 2.66. That's just a little over 2.5, and their expected goals per game, or expected XG, was 2.5. So they just surpassed their XG a little bit with this tactic. So not a 4.5, but it did work well for Olympique Lyonnais to score the highest amount of goals in the league. Looking at the player stats then, Moussa Dembele had the highest amount of scores. He scored 39 goals in the league, just the league, and then the highest assists came from Leo Dubois and Wissam Aouar. They had the highest assists with 12 and 12, so most of Dembele's goals came on his own. He scored 39 goals in the league. Come on. So that's basically how the tactic worked out for Olympique Lyonnais. We still have to look at the other teams though to see how well they are doing. And then we're going to jump into Mannheim. Mannheim did complete their season. I don't know where they finished. And looking at them, they finished in 4th place. They were predicted to finish, I think, 15th. So the tactic actually changed their season for them. And I know they did fall short from the promotion places, but they had a very good season, and they'll probably be able to bounce back from here. They had 70 points, so they're not far off the team that actually won the league, which is Kaiserslautern. They won the league with 75 points, and then Mannheim had 70. For a team that was predicted to finish 15th, that's a big step up. Looking at the team stats, then the highest amount of points per game was 1.97 by Kaiserslautern. Most goals, Mannheim. They scored 90 goals. That's over 30 goals more, or 29 goals more than Kaiserslautern that actually won the league. So I'm expecting that Mannheim did concede a lot of goals. So looking at the fewest conceded, Mannheim are not actually in the picture. So they did concede more than 39 goals. They conceded 54 goals, but they scored a whole lot more. And I'm going to also suggest something that can actually help you get better results if you're going to use this tactic eventually. If you're using a team like Mannheim, a mid-table side, a lower division side, and then you're trying to execute this tactic, playing with a team mentality of very attacking might not be the good way to go. So you probably want to opt for something like attacking or a balanced mentality. You can try positively if you're playing against teams that are somewhat if you're playing against teams that are below you and are going to sit back and defend, you can play with a positive mentality. But if you're playing against teams that are much better than you, you can use an attacking mentality or a balanced mentality to just try and be sure that you don't concede that many goals. So that's probably just a quick fix for me. So looking at the Victoria Pilsen setup, so let's see how well they did in their own league. I expected them to win the league because Leon, well, I know Leon took second, but Victoria Pilsen actually went on winning the league. They have a goal difference of 76. I'm thinking most of the fewest conceded. Victoria Pilsen, they conceded 47 goals, and then wow, they scored 123 goals. I mistakenly clicked Victoria Pilsen as a club. Okay, 123 goals in the league. The team that took second had 82. That's how well the tactic was for Victoria Pilsen. They ended up winning the league when they were predicted to finish second, so they kind of outplayed the team that was first. The team that was predicted to finish in first place, Victoria Pilsen, actually knocked them off with the highest amount of goals, 123. Looking at the points per game, they had 2.31, so that's not that bad for points per game. Looking at the amount of goals scored per XG, they had 3.51, so that's one short of the 4.5 that Manchester City had when the tactic creator was actually testing out the tactic. So Fenerbahce is our last bus stop this time. Looking at how well the tactic worked out for them, Fenerbahce predicted to finish second, ended up winning the league. They had a whopping 102 points and they have a goal difference of 99. No, that's 98. They had a goal difference of 98. And looking at the amount of goals that they scored 138 goals. And then Galatasaray, that was predicted to finish first or second or third. I think Besiktas is predicted to finish first. I'm not quite sure right now. But Fenerbahce had 138 goals, and the team that took second in that division, or the team that scored the next highest amount of goals to Fenerbahce, had 69. So it means Fenerbahce outscored everybody, and that's a confirmation that this tactic will get you goals regardless of how you set it up. As for possession, I don't expect the tactic to get you that much possession because there's no time to just pass around sideways. It's 50% possession for this tactic because of also the mentality that the team is using. It's not expected to keep the ball for too long. Looking at the player stats, then that's probably what I'm going to go into. Looking at the player stats, we can see that from the player stat, the highest amount of goals came from the three strikers in Fenerbahce: Enner Valencia, Mannheim, Berisha, and Serdar Dursun. Dursun had 31, Berisha had 25, Valencia had 20 goals. That's a lot of goals. And then the most assists came from Nazim Sangari. He had 19 assists, and then all Fenerbahce players. In fact, Fenerbahce basically walked the Turkish league, to be honest. They did everything right with this tactic, and the tactic actually worked out for them. But again, if you want to be a bit more cautious defensively, or you want the tactic to not concede that many goals, you can shift the team's mentality to maybe balanced or attacking mentality, since the very attacking is probably used for last resort in scenarios where you're expected to create chances regardless of anything else. Just to keep trying to score. In reality, if you're playing the game, that might not be always the best way to go because you end up conceding a lot of goals the other way around. So if you actually want to look for a way to stop conceding that many goals, you can obviously shift the mentality down a bit. So guys, that's the summary of the tactic. Remember, the link is in the description down below so you can get the tactic for yourself and then try it out and see how the tactic works out for you. Remember also, if you're shifting the mentality back to try and stop conceding that many goals, it also means that you're sacrificing up front. It means you're not going to score as many goals. So maybe probably a first way to see, or a first way to test out the tactic, is to use it as it is and then see what works for you and then try and move on from there. So that's basically the tactic, guys. It's a massive high scoring tactic in this particular video for you guys. So remember, also if you're new to the channel, also remember to hit the subscribe button. If you like content like this, I always create Football Manager content like this and then share amazing tactics that I find in FM that are probably working out for most people. I'm going to share from the community to you guys so you can see how the tactic works out for your team and that you try it for your team, for yourself. So remember to hit the subscribe button and also turn on the notification bell so you can get notified when new videos come up. And I'll catch you guys soonest in the next video with another explosive tactic.